Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is the Health and Wellness Spot, and I am Dr. Lewis. Now, today I'm going to talk about the male reproductive system. Okay? In our previous video, we talked about the female reproductive system and we understood the basics of the reproductive system. Today, we are handling the male reproductive system. Now, remember, the approach is the same. We go for the external, then the internal. Then as we go along, we get to talk about the conditions that affect this reproductive system. Okay? Good. So welcome back. Thank you so much for the subscription. Again, keep subscribing. If you're here for the first time, kindly watch this video till the end because it will be educative. Again, you can share our videos with your friends and most of the people I know, like for the male reproductive system, there's always a problem with the male system, be it erectile dysfunction, be it prostate enlargement, be it prostate cancer and stuff. So this video will be relevant to anybody who is related to you or who you know. So let's go in. Now, this is a representation of the male reproductive system, and the external part of it basically composes of two things. Number one, we have this sac called the scrotum. Now, the scrotum is the rough surface that hangs outside the body. So basically, that is an adaptation because it has to maintain a certain temperature for the sperm that is being produced by the testes. So the scrotum is just the sac that holds the testes. The other one is this one, which is the penis. The work of the penis is just to deposit sperm inside the vagina. Okay? And the head of the penis is very sensitive and it's called the glans. So this head of the penis is called the glans. Okay? So basically that is the external reproductive system of the male. Now, for the internal one, we will basically start here. And why are we starting here? Because this is our center of attraction, because the testes are the sources or the production house of the sperm and also the male hormone that is called testosterone. Therefore, this is called the testis. Okay? And just before I forget, the penis, basically in the body, there are two systems that control erection and ejaculation. So, we are controlled by the parasympathetic system and the sympathetic system. The parasympathetic system is the one that takes over when you've eaten and you're resting and digesting food. So it is the rest and digest system. The other one is the sympathetic system, the one that involves adrenaline, which basically helps you to fight or to flight. So you run or you fight. Okay? Now, the parasympathetic system, okay? This one is a system that controls erection. So this one controls erection. So before you erect, this system has to be active. And the other one, which is the sympathetic, controls ejaculation. Now, this is interesting. The parasympathetic system controls erection. How? In the penis, we have, this is the shaft. So in the penis, we have a large or a huge supply of blood vessels. Okay? These blood vessels gorge blood. So the penis happens to be like a spongy, it's like a sponge. So the blood vessels in this penis, when this system is activated, the parasympathetic, it causes dilation of the blood vessels. Once they dilate, dilation means opening. Once they dilate, then blood flows into the penis. Once blood flows into the penis, then this same blood pushes against or pushes itself against the blood vessels, and therefore it blocks veins from opening up again, and therefore blood does not flow outside the penis. So basically that is erection. So blood comes in, gorges into the sponge, and then pushes against the walls of the veins, and therefore blood cannot leave the penis. Now, here, some of the males who have a problem with erectile dysfunction, erecting, so they cannot withstand an erection during a process of sex for basically up to 15 minutes or so. So these people can have a problem in blood supply to the penis. And that is why we use a drug called Viagra. Now, Viagra is a brand name for a drug called sildenafil. Okay, so the blue pill. So once you go and purchase the blue pill, what you're trying to do is the blue pill will activate production of nitrous oxide in the system. This nitrous oxide dilates blood vessels and therefore functions normally as it would have functioned without the nitrous oxide. So the nitrous oxide opens up blood vessels and blood flows into the penis, and therefore you get an erection. Okay. However, this drug is dangerous. Why? Because once you dilate blood vessels, then you expose yourself to a slight decrease in blood pressure. Okay, and that sometimes can bring problem because most people can get a problem during trying to facilitate an erection using these drugs, and then they get into hypo, which is low blood pressure or hypotension. Okay, so be very careful with this drug. Again, this drug was designed to treat pulmonary hypertension, which means basically it was supposed to bring down the blood pressure. Now you're using it to erect, and you don't even know your blood pressure, and you don't even know your stability. Therefore, you use it with cautions. Okay, good. So basically that is the external. Now we go to the testis. Now the testis, inside the testis is where magic happens. So we have this testis, and inside the testis we have things called lobules. So we have these like triangles or stuff that are called lobules. Several of them in one testis. Okay, so these lobules, they are called lobules. So these lobules, inside those lobules, we have things that are called, we have these foldings, this huge network of either blood supply and other tubules. Okay, so inside the testis, we have these tubules that are called seminiferous tubules. So these red ones are what we call seminiferous tubules. Okay, and what is the function of these seminiferous tubules? Now, I want you to understand this is where the magic happens. So basically, this is where sperm production occurs. Now, we have seminiferous tubules, these ones. Okay, and in these seminiferous tubules, there are two types of cells. Two types of cells in here. The first type of cell is called the Leydig cells. And the function of these Leydig cells is just to produce testosterone. So this is the testosterone. So the male hormone that will help in your agility and maintenance of erection. Now, the second type of cell is what we call the Sertoli cells. And the work of Sertoli cells is basically to produce something called androgen binding protein. Also, the Sertoli cells are the ones that produce hydrogen ions. They exchange hydrogen ions, and therefore they maintain the acid environment around the sperms. Now, since these ones produce or balance the hydrogen ions around the sperm, this maintains the acidic environment. Okay. Now, men who keep on using drugs that help you manage peptic ulcer disease, and they are called PPIs. So PPIs, the likes of omeprazole, the likes of pantoprazole, and the rest. These drugs, overexposure and more all the time you use these drugs when you have your peptic ulcer disease. Now remember, their work is to inhibit the proton pump. So they inhibit the proton pump, and this proton pump, its work is to pump hydrogen into the stomach. The same thing happens with the Sertoli cells. So this pump is present inside the testis, and therefore this pump pumps hydrogen ions into your new sperm so that you can maintain the hydrogen environment or the acidic environment around the cells. So if you keep using these PPIs, the omeprazoles and the likes, what are you doing? You're trying to inhibit this pump, the proton pump in the testis, and therefore you're inhibiting the environment of the sperm. The environment around the sperm, you're trying to make it less acidic. That is a problem because that will cause problems in quality of sperm, motility of sperm, and the amount of sperm that you produce. Okay, so basically, if you're a man and you're watching this video and you're on long-term omeprazoles, pantoprazoles because of bad dieting or because of any other condition, then be careful because your fertility will start to go down. And the reason is this, the inhibition of that pump that maintains hydrogen ions around the sperm. So that is the relationship between use of anti-ulcer drugs and low quality sperm. Are we clear? Good. So let's continue going. So these two, when they combine, so basically testosterone binds to androgen binding protein. So the androgen is the testosterone. Then it binds to this protein. Once it binds to this protein, what does it do now? We raise, or you start the process of sperm production. So these two aid in sperm production. Now, you have produced this sperm. What happens next? Now, remember, this sperm, after production, which happens in the testis, now this sperm is transported to this here, which is called the epididymis. So, now we have the testis. The next one here is the epididymis. So the work of the epididymis is basically to just store and mature these sperms. So sperms are coming from here, they are immature, and most of them are being deposited here, so they start maturing into the epididymis, and also the storage. Then its other function is just to pump that sperm into this tubule. Okay, now this tubule is what we call the vas deferens. So this tube, the general tube, is called vas deferens. Now, vas deferens, this is where vasectomy happens. Remember vas. So vasectomy comes from this word vas. Now, ectomy means to cut. Therefore, vasectomy just means basically to cut this tube. Once you cut this tube, you disconnect the flow of sperm, and that is vasectomy. Problem comes in here. You are producing testosterone here, and you're supposed to carry that testosterone all the way to this gland here. Okay? So let's hold that until we come to this gland. So basically, the work of this vas deferens is just to transport the sperm from the epididymis all the way to these two glands. Okay? And you can see it goes ahead and rotates and comes back. Now, rotates where? This is the bladder. Remember, the bladder is not part of the male reproductive system. The bladder is part of the urinary tract system. However, this tube goes around and behind the bladder. Okay? Then this tube ends up joining this gland here. Okay? And that gland is the one called seminal vesicle. So this gland, we'll just mention it here. So it is the seminal vesicle. And the other gland, this one, is what we call the prostate. So prostate gland. So now you have produced your sperm. It has gone through the vas deferens, goes all the way to the seminal vesicle, and gets into the gets access to the prostate. Now these two glands, the prostate and the seminal vesicle, their job is just to produce nourishment of the sperm. Okay, they produce energy that this sperm will use. They also produce an environment that is healthy for sperm production. So that happens here. Okay, and also they produce semen. And basically, semen is a fluid that is supposed to clear the way for the sperm to go through. Also carries the sperm and maintains the environment around the sperm until it gets into the vagina. Okay, remember, the semen is basic and the vagina is acidic. So the semen, again, apart from it just clearing the route of exit of the sperm, it will also clear the route in the vagina by neutralizing that acid so that the sperm goes through successfully. So now here is a problem. We have this. This is the bladder, and it has an emptying, which is the urethra. So the urethra connects with this ejaculatory duct. Okay, so inside the prostate harbors the ejaculatory duct and also the urethra from the bladder. Now, sometimes when you grow old or when you're eating bad foods and you start getting this increase in estrogen and your testosterone starts going down, there is something that happens to this gland. It starts swelling. The prostate gland starts being big. When it starts growing big, then it presses or it exerts pressure against the urethra. Once it exerts pressure against the urethra, now you'll have difficulty in urination. And that is the condition that is medically referred to as BPH. Benign prostatic hypertrophy. So benign to mean does not spread. Prostatic to mean the prostate. Then hypertrophy to mean enlargement. So basically, enlargement of the prostate gland, but does not spread. Therefore, enlargement of the prostate gland is not cancer, is not testicular cancer, is not prostate cancer. Okay? Do not confuse this with cancer. This is not malignant. Cancer, testicular cancer or prostate cancer is malignant, meaning it can spread from the testis to other organs, or from the prostate to other organs. However, this one is basically located or localized at the prostate. So that enlargement is the one that causes problems to older people who have problems in urinating. And also, sometimes we used to think that prostate enlargement is only for the elderly until the diets came in. And then boys and men at the age of 30 and below started having these conditions. And this condition is totally fed by estrogen. Therefore, the only way to prevent it is by lowering the amount of estrogen. Now we'll get to that. So let's continue. Now the sperm has gotten out of the ejaculatory duct. What happens? We get into the sympathetic system, which is responsible for ejaculation. Remember, we had the parasympathetic system that aided you into erection. Okay. Now we have the sympathetic system that is supposed to constrict the blood, the vessels or the cells and the smooth muscles in this tube, so that it starts ejaculating, starts pumping the sperm all the way into the urethra for ejaculation. Okay, so from here we start activating the sympathetic system for you to ejaculate. Okay, so that takes it out, is the same through this duct and to the urethra, then outside into the vagina. So basically, this is a highlight of the male reproductive system. Now, the next thing we are going to tackle, we are going to handle BPH. Then we also handle testicular torsion and the varicocele. Okay. Now, these are part of just dietary modifications that are supposed to aid you avoid the conditions that I'm going to discuss. Now, these three conditions basically are the ones that affect the male reproductive system. They are not the only ones. However, we will tackle this because they are the in-depth and the ones that are supposed to be corrected by an increase in testosterone. Okay, so testicular torsion. Basically, testicular torsion is where once your ball starts moving in circular form, then it rotates, okay, and then twists blood vessels that supply the testes, and that is a problem because now that will alter the quality of sperm and also fertility levels. Therefore, that condition is only treated by surgical interventions. However, you can prevent it through the ways that we'll talk about. Again, number 2 is the varicocele. Now, varicocele is where the blood vessels that supplies the scrotum, which is this sac, also start swelling. Okay, and again, these two can the two conditions can be dangerous in fertility in males. So these two conditions are corrected by surgery, and you do not need to get these conditions. You can prevent these conditions through dietary modifications. Okay, so save your money from going to surgeries by just taking and enhancing the dietary guidelines that we provide to you. Okay, now the animal in the house is the BPH. BPH, again, I said it is benign. So benign to mean does not spread. Okay, then P for prostatic, which means the prostate. Then H for hypertrophy. Hypertrophy means enlargement. Therefore, BPH just means benign, it is not a cancer, and it does not spread, so it is local. But 2, prostatic, which means the prostate, so the prostate is enlarged and is localized. So hypertrophy means large. Therefore, there are conditions that this gland that is called the prostate starts to enlarge and becomes bigger. Now, once it starts to enlarge, it presses against this urethra that is coming from the bladder, okay? Then that brings a problem during urination. So you have difficulty in urinating. So do not confuse the two, cancer and BPH. So now, what causes BPH? Basically, it's just an increase in the amount of estrogen and a reduction in the amount of testosterone. So anything that increases your estrogen levels in the system will bring you these conditions. And anything that lowers your testosterone, again, will bring you this. Because remember, testosterone, the higher the testosterone, the lower the estrogen, and vice versa. Now, cause number one is age. Basically, men who are aging, ages of 50 and above, their levels of testosterone starts going down. Remember, from the age of 30, your levels of testosterone start going down by 1% every year. Okay, and that's the reason why, since the 1970s, sperm count has gone down by almost 50% because of the diets. So aging is a major factor in this condition. Why? Because of low testosterone levels, which is normal in people who are aging, unless you start eating healthy and going to the gym. Good. Number two, we have obesity. Now, obesity comes as a result of accumulation of fat. Remember, estrogen is sourced from fat. How? When you grow fat as a man, you start accumulating all this fat in the fat cells. That fat activates an enzyme that is called aromatase. Now, the function of that enzyme aromatase is to just break down testosterone and give you estrogen. So here we have aromatase. So the enzyme that breaks down testosterone to give you estrogen is the one that is called aromatase. And that enzyme is activated by fat. So you can imagine when you grow fat, then therefore the chances of getting higher estrogen are very high, and these conditions will ensue. Okay. Number three, we have a fatty liver. Now, fatty liver again is sourced from diet, simple carbohydrates and sugar, specifically fruit sugar, which is called fructose, and honey sugar, which is called also fructose. These are the sugars that bring this fatty liver. Now, ironically, inside the seminal vesicles, we produce fructose, and that fructose is supposed to help, is the energy source of the sperm. Okay, so all days fruits were healthy for sperm production. However, modern fruits are high in fructose. Okay, and that fructose is the one that will cause you a fatty liver. So you might think, why is the sperm getting fructose? Why is fructose being used as a sperm and we are being told not to eat modern fruits? The reason is modern fruits are high in fructose, and that fructose will cause you a fatty liver, and you will be trying to manage or to give your sperm energy and end up getting low sperm count. So we work here, we correct here. So the liver, a fatty liver, basically is a destroyed liver. So it starts to have these problems in synthesizing testosterone. Remember, the liver is the home for hormone synthesis, and therefore once it's fatty, testosterone synthesis is altered, and you start having this problem, which is BPH again, enlargement of the prostate. The next factor has to be estrogen in men. And we already mentioned estrogen in men, where it comes from diets. So diets that are high in estrogen, including soy products, soy proteins, including wheat products and sugar, all those are the ones that will increase your estrogen, because once you grow fat, then again you start breaking down your testosterone. Okay, so estrogenic diets like alcohol, again, alcohol is highly estrogenic, beer for that matter. So men who take beer have erectile dysfunction problems, and now you know the reason. Okay, men who take too much sugar, you get diabetes and you end up here. Now you know the problem. So avoid those things. That's the reason why we tell you, as a man, if you want to boost your erection and run away or heal from erectile dysfunction, then the first thing you have to drop is sugar, wheat products, and soy products. Then you add seed oils. Okay, so estrogen has several effects in men. First of all, you get men with boobs, so man boobs. Then these men, their voices starts to tone down, and they have this light voice or sharp voices. Then again, estrogen is another source of BPH. So estrogen will give you an enlarged prostate, because now your testosterone is low. Then finally, obesity. So estrogen will give you obesity, and obesity is another factor here already. So you'll have double tragedy. Okay, I hope those factors and the causes are understood, so that now we can move to the prevention of this. We already said the only way to help you recover from testicular torsion and varicocele and an enlarged prostate already has to be surgical removal. However, you can avoid these procedures and these expenses by going this side of prevention. So prevention is better than cure. Now, for prevention, basically, one thing you have to do, you have to lose weight. You do not have an option. If you're fat, you can imagine being old, being fat, and having all these problems, the fatty liver. So you have problems. You have diabetes, hypertension, you're headed to cancer, you already have an enlarged prostate, and you're having difficulty in urination. So you have a lot of problems. This is where you'll have a prescription that has more than 10 drugs. And that is a problem, because the liver again starts failing because of the side effects of the drugs to the liver. Okay? So you have to lose weight. Weight loss is necessary in recovery from these processes. Then vegetables, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, like spinach, okay, like the fermented cabbage. These are sources of enzymes that will reverse this process. So basically, they will start breaking down estrogen. And once they break down that excess estrogen, it goes down and testosterone starts to come up. Okay, so cruciferous vegetables are very important again for these people. Then meat and eggs. These are superfoods for testosterone, and this meat has to be fatty meat. Remember, eggs have cholesterol, and cholesterol is the precursor for synthesis of your hormone testosterone. So you need eggs, you need meat. 6 to 8 eggs a day is perfect. Eat meat as much as you can. Now, no estrogen foods. Estrogen foods, we mentioned alcohol, we mentioned soy products and soy proteins, we've mentioned sugar and wheat products. So these are the ones that will keep you fat, they're the ones that will introduce estrogen in your system. Again, GMO products, GMO foods, avoid them. If you can go organic, please go organic, okay? GMO chicken, GMO foods, restaurant foods, all of them have glyphosate and MSG, basically MSG in processed foods and glyphosate in environment like fertilizers and herbicides. So these are the ones that mimic estrogen in your system. So please avoid those. Once you avoid GMO and you avoid restaurant foods, the likes of pizza, once you avoid those, then you'll not have this problem. You'll not even have erectile dysfunction, because we need to secure our testosterone as much as we can. Then fasting is very important. Fasting stabilizes your hormones. Fasting also plays a major role in recovery from insulin resistance and therefore erectile dysfunction and BPH. Okay, so fasting boosts your testosterone and your growth hormone. Be very cautious about that. Start fasting. If you've not started fasting, start with intermittent fasting. Basically 8 hours between a meal, then go as you increase until you come to 1 meal a day. For those who already have this condition or they are suspecting they have this condition, if you follow this, then you'll start recovering. You'll feel it. You'll start recovering. And for those who don't have it, start embracing healthy living, because we don't want you to get to these conditions. Then also the gym and the sun. So the gym is supposed to boost your testosterone. Again, perfect for BPH. Go do exercises, not running on a treadmill, not aerobic exercises, but exercises that involve heavy lifting, squatting, bench press, overhead shoulder press, the bend over rows, deadlifts, those heavy exercises, and bicep curls. Go do those heavy exercises to break the fat and to boost your testosterone levels. Basically, and then the sun, which is the major endocrine stabilizer. Men, you're supposed to sun your balls every day, at least 30 minutes per day. So walk in the midday sun and enjoy it. It will not cause you cancer. It will actually help you recover from these conditions. So thank you so much for watching this video. We hope it was as educative as we wanted it to be. We will see you again.